Have you ever woken up one day and realized you can't tolerate the same people you once loved being around? Not because you're angry, not because you're better, but because something inside you shifted so deeply that their energy, their patterns, their conversations suddenly feel heavy. If you felt this, even once, this video is speaking directly to you. Because awakening isn't just a change in consciousness, it's a change in compatibility. You start noticing who drains you, who unsettles your peace, who keeps you small, and who quietly pulls you back into the version of yourself you've already outgrown and you feel torn. Do I stay loyal to who they are or loyal to who I'm becoming? In the next few minutes, inspired by the wisdom of Alan Watts, we're going to explore 5 kinds of people you must lovingly distance yourself from after awakening, not out of judgment, but out of self-preservation. Because some connections nourish your soul and others quietly poison it. Awakening rarely happens with fireworks. It arrives quietly, like a shift in the air, a change in the light, a sudden clarity you can't unsee. One morning, the world feels slightly different. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel shallow. The places you once felt comfortable start to drain you, and the people you spent years around begin to feel like echoes of your old self. You start noticing things you were blind to before, the tension behind someone's smile, the hidden intentions in their words, the emotional weight they place on your shoulders without realizing it. Your intuition becomes louder. Your body becomes wiser. Your soul starts rejecting what your ego once tolerated. And here's the part that confuses most people. You don't just outgrow habits, you outgrow relationships. It's not that they became worse, it's that you became more aware. Their chaos becomes obvious. Their negativity becomes louder. Their masks become transparent. And you can't go back to unseeing it. Awakening isn't something you choose. It's something that happens to you. And once it happens, the world doesn't just change. Your threshold change. What once felt normal now feels unbearable. What once felt acceptable now feels toxic. And the people who once walked beside you suddenly feel miles away. This is the moment where discernment becomes necessary, because not everyone can follow you into the level of consciousness you've stepped into, the one who wants you back asleep. The first person you must distance yourself from after awakening is the sleepwalker, the one who is still deeply attached to the life you've already begun to outgrow. You know this person. They're the one who gets uncomfortable when you change. When you become quieter, they say you're acting weird. When you set boundaries, they say you're being rude. When you start healing, they say you've lost your spark. They don't want the awakened version of you. They want the familiar version that made them feel comfortable. Not because they're bad, but because your growth threatens their sleep. The sleepwalker says things like, "Why are you suddenly so serious? You're overthinking everything. You used to be fun. You're making life complicated." What they really mean is, stop waking up. I don't know how to join you. This person's world depends on routine, distraction, denial. Your consciousness disrupts that. Your clarity exposes what they've avoided. Your peace makes their chaos obvious. So they'll try, consciously or not, to pull you back into the version of life they understand. You'll notice it in small ways. They encourage habits you're trying to leave behind. They mock the insights that change your life. They roll their eyes when you talk about awareness or emotional honesty. They want you predictable, familiar, unchanged, because your evolution forces them to face their stagnation. But here's the hard truth. You cannot awaken someone who is committed to sleeping. And if you keep them too close, their comfort will become your cage. You can love the sleepwalker, but you cannot walk at their pace. And the moment you awaken, Their world is simply too small for your soul to breathe in. The performance of awakening. The second person you must avoid after awakening is the spiritual actor. The one who talks like a sage but lives like a stranger to their own soul. This is the person who knows every spiritual quote, every trending concept, every sacred word. But none of it has ever touched the inside of their being. Their spirituality is a costume, a performance, a way to appear awakened without doing the inner work awakening demands. You know this type. They preach detachment but cling to validation. They talk about energy but drain every room they enter. They post about healing but never apologize, never self-reflect, never change. They say trust the universe, but they can't sit alone with their own thoughts for more than 5 minutes. They love the idea of awakening, but fear the reality of it. The spiritual actor will talk to you for hours about chakras, karma, synchronicity, timelines, but when you speak about your genuine inner shifts, they subtly compete with you. They try to sound deeper, wiser, more enlightened, because your authenticity exposes the superficiality of their performance. And the danger is this: their false light dims your real one. They pull you into endless spiritual debates, pseudo-wisdom, and ego disguised as insight. You walk away feeling confused, heavy, disconnected, as if you've eaten something that looked good but had no nourishment. Awakening is not aesthetic. It's not language. It's not self-branding. It is the quiet, painful, liberating process of dissolving your illusions. The spiritual actor avoids this at all costs. They want the image of awakening, not the transformation. They want the vocabulary, not the vulnerability. They want the appearance of wisdom, not the humility it requires. If you stay too close to the spiritual actor, they will trap you in intellectual spirituality. All talk, no embodiment, all shine, no fire, all light, no heat. You don't need someone who knows the path. You need someone who walks it. And the spiritual actor does not walk, they perform, the one who drinks your light. The third person you must distance yourself from after awakening is the emotional drainer, the one who recognizes your empathy and turns it into their feeding source. This is the person who always has a crisis, always needs saving, always collapses in your presence, but never grows, never listens, never changes. You become their comfort, their therapist, their healer, their emotional life support system, and they call it connection, but it's dependency wearing a soft voice. You know this person. The moment you open your phone and see their name, your chest tightens. You already know what's coming. Another long message, another emotional dump, another plea for support they won't use. You respond because you care, and they know you care. That's why they come to you. But here's the part that hurts to admit. They are not looking for healing. They're looking for a host. Their pain isn't the problem. Pain is human. The problem is that they don't want evolution. They want extraction. They want you to make them feel better for a moment so they can avoid facing what created the pain in the first place. And every time you help, you walk away feeling drained, heavy, numb, like you poured light into a cup with no bottom. You tell yourself you're being compassionate, but deep down, you know the truth. Your compassion has become their escape route. The emotional drainer thrives on your strength, yet offers none in return. They expect you to be there, but were never there for you. They misunderstand your kindness as permission, and the more awakened you become, the more you realize that their need is not your responsibility. Here's the truth most awakened souls resist. You can drown trying to save someone who never intended to swim. Your energy is sacred. Your light is not infinite. And your awakening does not obligate you to carry those who refuse to stand on their own feet. Distance is not cruelty, it's clarity. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop letting someone drink from a well they never helped you fill. The mind that fears mystery. The fourth person you must avoid after awakening is the proud rationalist, the one who worships logic so fiercely that anything beyond the mind becomes a threat. They are not stupid. They are not shallow. They are simply terrified of worlds they cannot control. You know exactly who this is. The person who laughs when you speak about intuition, who rolls their eyes when you mention energy, synchronicity, inner shifts, dreams, or subtle awareness. To them, everything is coincidence. Everything is chance. Everything is just your imagination. They hide behind intellect the same way others hide behind spirituality. As a shield, as protection, as a way to avoid feeling what the mind can't explain. The proud rationalist believes that if it can't be measured, it shouldn't be trusted. If it can't be proven, it shouldn't be explored. If it can't be controlled, it shouldn't be touched. So when you begin to awaken, when your perception expands, when your intuition sharpens, when your inner world becomes vivid, they respond with sarcasm, skepticism, or quiet superiority. Not because you're wrong, but because your awareness exposes the limits of their worldview. The danger is subtle. They make you doubt what your soul knows. They make you shrink your intuition to fit their logic. They make you silence your insight to avoid their judgment. They make you feel crazy for experiencing what countless awakened beings have spoken of for centuries. And if you stay too close to the proud rationalist, you begin to second-guess your awakening. You begin to lower your vibration to match their certainty. You begin to trade your mystery for their approval. But awakening is not a rational upgrade. It is an expansion of consciousness. And the mind alone cannot carry you through that doorway. You can love the proud rationalists. You can respect their thinking. But you must protect your awakening from their fear of the unknown. Because some people don't reject spirituality because it's false. They reject it because it asks them to feel. The rescuer who won't save themselves. The fifth person you must avoid after awakening is the savior mask. The one who appears compassionate, wise, and endlessly giving, but who never ever turns that compassion inward. This person is dangerous not because they are cruel, but because they believe they're helping when they are actually avoiding themselves. You'll recognize them instantly. They're always rescuing someone, always sacrificing, always carrying the emotional weight of the world. People praise them for being so good, so selfless, so spiritual. But beneath that gentle exterior lies a truth they refuse to confront. Saving others is the only way they avoid facing their own wounds. They need to be needed. They can't sit in silence with themselves. They mistake codependency for compassion. They confuse martyrdom with love. And here's the painful part. They gravitate toward awakened souls because your empathy makes you the perfect recipient of their stories, their burdens, their missions. They unload their trauma gently, artfully, wrapped in spiritual language, and you absorb it, thinking you're helping. But instead of growing with you, they anchor themselves to your stability while you slowly drown in theirs. The savior mask won't let you struggle, but they will also never let you rise. They need you fragile enough to need them, and available enough to fix them, and they never fix themselves. When you confront them with truth, they say, "I'm just trying to help. I care too much. I sacrifice because I'm stronger." But helping everyone but themselves is not strength. It is avoidance. Awakened souls must be careful with this archetype. Their kindness feels familiar. Their presence feels comforting. Their empathy feels safe. But staying close to them keeps you in a cycle where you carry both journeys, yours and theirs. And awakening was meant to free you, not to enslave your compassion. You can love the Savior mask. You can pray for them, wish them healing, send them light. But you must love them at a distance until they learn to rescue the only person they've been avoiding, themselves. Resonance, not obligation. Here's the truth most people never tell you. Awakening doesn't make you superior. It makes you sensitive. Sensitive to energy, sensitive to intention. Sensitive to environments that once felt fine but now feel suffocating. And because of that sensitivity, distance becomes necessary. Avoiding someone after awakening is not an act of judgment. It's an act of resonance. You're not saying you're bad. You're saying we're vibrating differently now. You're not cutting people off. You're simply no longer shrinking to match their level of awareness. You're not abandoning them. You're honoring the person you've become. Awakening teaches you something subtle but life-changing. You can love people deeply and still not walk with them. You can care for someone without carrying them. You can forgive someone without inviting them back into your life. You can understand their wounds without letting those wounds infect your peace. You can wish them healing and still protect your own. Most people confuse closeness with love, but awakened souls learn that love is not always proximity. Sometimes love is silence. Sometimes love is distance. Sometimes love is letting someone continue their journey while you continue yours. Because every soul wakes up at its own pace. Some are ready for the light you found. Others are not. Enforcing it on them only creates resistance and pain. When you avoid certain people after awakening, you're not closing your heart. You're choosing where your heart can breathe. You're not walking away from them. You're walking toward yourself. And that is not cruelty. That is clarity. When you awaken, your path doesn't widen. It narrows. Not because life becomes smaller, but because your soul becomes more precise about what it can allow. The people who once fit into your world begin to slip away like old skins, not through conflict, not through drama, but through natural divergence. Your frequency rises, and everything not aligned simply falls behind. And at first, this feels lonely. You look around and realize that you're no longer the same person you were, and the world you built no longer matches the terrain inside you. You start losing interest in certain conversations, certain habits, certain environments. You stop resonating with chaos, noise, and emotional entanglement. You crave peace, clarity, truth, even if they come with solitude. But here's the part that brings everything together. The path narrows so your vision can sharpen. The people leaving your life are not losses. They're recalibrations. They step aside so you can walk forward without pulling dead weight behind you. Awakening removes the unnecessary so your soul can breathe again. It strips what was false so what is real can finally reach you. It closes doors so the right ones stop being delayed. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin attracting people who feel like home. People whose presence doesn't drain you, but restores you. People who understand without explanation, who meet you without masks, who walk with you without fear. Because once the unnecessary falls away, there's finally space for the aligned to step in. The path narrows, so you can meet those who see. In the end, awakening is not a lonely journey. It just begins that way. You lose people not because you stop loving them, but because your soul stops shrinking to fit their world. And that's okay. You were never meant to carry everyone with you. Some are meant to meet you for a moment, some for a chapter, few for a lifetime, and fewer still for a lifetime of consciousness. The deeper you awaken, the clearer it becomes. You don't need many people. You just need the right ones. The ones who don't fear your depth. The ones who don't dim your light. The ones who don't confuse your silence with distance or your boundaries with rejection. Walk with those who see. Those who hear the things you don't say aloud. Those who don't flinch at your truth, don't envy your growth, don't cling when you expand. Walk with the ones who honor your solitude and still meet you in presence. Those who recognize your evolution without demanding that you justify it. Those who walk beside you freely, without pulling you back into who you used to be. Because awakening isn't about rising above others. It's about rising into yourself, and the ones meant for you will rise with you. Let the rest drift gently out of your orbit, not with anger, not with resistance, simply with understanding. Your journey is sacred, your peace is sacred, and the people destined to walk with you will recognize your light as soon as they see it. Walk with those who see and keep walking.